Morning, everyone. I thought since this is my first day off, I would go out into town straight away and get to see Barcelona at a different time of day than just when I have time off on the weekends. And when I saw the little weather app saying it was only just above freezing, I couldn't believe it, because yesterday I was walking around without a sweater, in a shirt, and just my coat. But it's incredible. Anyway, let's head into town. So I've just discovered the Casa del Libro, which is like this enormous bookstore that I've never been to. I didn't know there was one up there, because my old one up over there shut down. So found myself a level C1 or C2 book on grammar, which is just the thing I need, because I kind of need to practice while I'm at home. And I want to make the effort myself to do my grammar and work on my tenses. So I finally got the book, and I'll show you right now. Well, I think I've done my full circle here of the center. It's quite busy, actually, for such a cold day. Well, that's a cute little place. But I might grab another coffee. I've already filled in like 2 pages of grammar. No sketching. I did bring my sketchbook. It's almost full, actually. Maybe I should buy a new one today. Anyway, talk to you guys in a bit.
Oh, I wouldn't have no luck at all. Listen, I wouldn't have no luck at all.
Yeah, but wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing there. Let me tell you what happened.
Tell me about it.
Listen. I decided I'd go out walking.
Say what?
And you know, even that failed.
Now, how can a walk fail, Ray?
Because some man snatched a woman's pocketbook way across town.
Say what?
Yeah, and guess who they put in jail?
Do tell, do tell.
Jimmy, I just can't.
So I've already made it home, and I had a big lunch. I went shopping, got some food in the fridge. I'm ready to get started on the comic book. It is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've had a nice little morning off, but now it's time to get started. And one of the things I need to get started on is organizing my little studio area. So I've got some plans I've dreamt up. So for one, there's this big sewing machine table, and I don't have the money right now to buy the things I need for it, and I also have 2 left hands. But what I'm thinking of is, like, when you look at it, like, that is a very sturdy table, but it's in the way, and because of the machine that is on the cloth, like, there's not much I can do with the table. But what I can do, because of that machine that is on top, build some contraption, very simple, with wood, that even I, with my 2 left hands, can make, and put together somewhat of an elevated desk area at a slight angle, so I can draw on it standing. Because one of the things I seriously dislike about my job, having worked in hospitality for years and years and years, is my job is sedentary, and my hobbies are sitting down as well, and it is not good for my health, and it is just not. I hate it. It's, you know, I just hate it. I hate sitting down all day long. And I think I can keep my energy, my focus up a lot longer for when I come back home, or when I have my day off, when I can simply work standing like I used to for all those years. So that's one plan. So I'm gonna start having a look and drawing up like somewhat of a schematic to put that together. I'm gonna go around to some shops, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, to start looking at the prices for the wood, because payday is coming, and like what I need. And one of my best friends, who's supposed to be visiting this week, but he can't, he's actually a carpenter. So that would have been perfect, but just because he's not coming doesn't mean I'm not gonna have a go at it. And then the other thing is, I still have this little thing over here, which I've been keeping around forever, and I actually thought of throwing it out, and then I thought like, no. As I've been making progress on my comic book, one of the things that I need to do is I need to, like, once I hit page 25, I'm gonna like make some JPEGs out of all the files, the Photoshop files, print them out so I have the comic book in my hand, and then I'm gonna go through it and look at all the poses I've drawn and the characters, and just because I need to make a somewhat of a Bible of my characters, and I've all these loose papers and drawings and in my sketchbook and everywhere all over the place, but I need to organize them, and I need to work out what I need for the comic book. You know, because I keep coming up with some new characters in the background. So once the, you know, round 2 like rough inks are done, I can lift out all those poses that I need and draw them separately if I want to, just quickly, but just like for myself, you know, like as a how to draw them rather than the finished thing, like with all the guidelines for the noses and like all that stuff and the hairs and like, you know. But for that, for the posing, like I want references, and there's great reference sites, especially on DeviantArt. There's some really good channels on DeviantArt where you can, like, people have been posting all these pictures of them to keep doing these poses, but I want to make them myself. So I need to work on lighting, and I need something to attach my camera to, my iPhone, because I've got the Gorilla thingy right over here, you know. That attaches itself very easily to everything. But this isn't long enough, and I need like, you know, like the bird's eye view. I need like the bottom view, bottom up. What do you call it? Frog eye view? What do you call that in English? I need some basic light sources. I need to be able to make it dark here. There's just stuff I need to be able to do, and it can't be that hard, but it might be, you know, like a good afternoon's worth of work setting it all up. So, because once I have that, I think, I mean, like, especially when it comes to like posing and clothing and shadow, it does my head in. But like, I see so many comic books and I think like, man, you guys, you're rocking the reference. There's no excuse for me not to do that. Like, it'd be great to be able to draw everything just from, you know, the top of my head. And I think I do okay, like sketching things out. Like, I think my anatomy is pretty decent, but I want to be able to, like, I want to have the fun of figuring things out by myself, and I want to use the reference and see, because I want to know how much time it takes just sketching it out. I want to know how much time it takes posing and getting the reference and getting it into Photoshop, so that in the future, when I make a page, like, I know the fastest route to finishing the page is like, okay, so I can either spend all this time doodling, or I can just quickly pose that, you know, and like, what would get me the best results art-wise? Because sometimes, like, when you make a doodle, like, it just makes for a more exciting drawing, even though it's not 100% correct. Anatomically, that's it. That's the word. Oh. So yeah, that's kind of my plans. Not for the afternoon right now, because first I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna sit down, have a coffee, and get started on the next page, because I want to have that done. And the schedule I've set up, which, okay, well, I don't know where my sketchbook is right now, but the schedule I've set up is like, I would love to hit 2 pages a day while I have these days off, because it is now Tuesday. I'm on page 17, so that is 8 pages to go. So that's like pages 18 and 19 on Tuesday, 2021, 2022 on Thursday, 24, 25 by Friday. That means by the weekend, if I push it, and if this isn't too crazy of an idea, I could be working on the next phase. So yeah, that's my my little update for right now. I've been rambling. Where's that cat going to? Where's that little cat walking to? I just fed her chicken. Anyway, let's get started. So I'm just wrapping up my work on yesterday's page. Thank you all for the very nice comments on this page. I'm pretty pleased with it. And I've just added the balloons. So this panel, this is where I'm experimenting to see if I can get away with it. So I want the Taskmaster to have a bit of a coach-like chat with his team as they're playing this game of catching the ball, just like his supervisor is doing her with her team, explaining the game they're playing. He's got the ball already. Someone is in place. This is their ace in the hole. Like he says something, so I want your eyes to follow along, and then so I'm curious to see if this works. Now, clearly I need some space here on the page. It needs to be formatted properly, same as here. I can't have it next to the border. So that is something that needs to be fixed. But it's exciting, like experimenting like this and seeing what works and what doesn't. And of course, I've seen this how many times before in comic books. But to actually be doing it myself is pretty cool. So that's finishing up page 17. Very happy with how this one came out. A friend of mine just sent me a screensaver for Infinity War. That is a nice little Photoshop of all the characters in one big poster. So I went digging for him because he's a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, for some of Daniel Warren Johnson's Dragon Ball Z art. And that artist is an artist who, whenever his art shows up on my Twitter feed, always gets me excited, because he always has these really cool interpretations of characters that are truly his own. He does all these really cool techniques where I'm not sure if it's digital or if it's traditional. It's a really cool blend of like manga, but applied to, you know, Western superhero comics. Even though when you see him draw characters from Akira, like that's when it really clicks. Like, no, he's really drawing into that, drawing that Japanesey style. But when I analyze some of his art, it's very messy, and that of course lends it this awesome energy. But it also has me think about this page in particular, because Ox was very pleased with like how the art for this one came out, and I really like this page. But at the same time, I feel like my mind is stuck with this. Like I have to, you know, like I imagine my comic book to look a certain way. I look up to these artists and I want to be able to draw like them. And I don't mean that in the literal like them, even though I'm not averse to, you know, I'm trying to please this vision of my own comic book. And in a way, like some of the art that I've been producing in this Rough Inks version is more than adequate for a really cool comic book story. It's just not how I imagined it. So I'm very pleased with that it's at this level, but I'm gonna push it a little bit more. That's the first half hour done messing around with this this layout and online. And so now let's get started on page 18. This is it, rough pencils. It's basically segueing from the previous page. So team moves into so this is what we just saw from a different angle. They move into position. The ball is passed on. They make a fake move here that is seen by the team, so the plan is working as he's hiding behind the little trolley. So yeah, so how to draw that? Well, first we start off with erasing some of the doodles that we will not be needing, like the balloons, because I'm going to add them back in later on a separate layer. So I just like to erase them. To just talk you kind of through my process for roughing this up, I make a double layer of the art, and then I sandwich a layer in between with the color of the paper, so that if I want, I can actually erase from this this art, this line art, and then like the original copy doesn't shine through. Then I add an overlay layer, and I start applying some light and dark colors to give me an idea for to basically start separating light and dark areas, and to also provide myself with like separate characters and like an idea where I want to take the actual inks. So not all the art that is colored dark will necessarily be inked dark, but it's to give myself an indication. At some point, there are certain characters who have been drawn as silhouettes, and I'm not sure that actually came out okay, considering where they are in the panel or the distance they have from the other characters. I don't think that came out quite as well. I also started trying out some different things with some of the backgrounds, whereas before on the previous page, I kept the backgrounds like intricate, but like with very sparse line art and very thin. And on this page, I go the opposite route just to kind of experiment, and I make it very dark and very, I wouldn't say detailed, but there's a lot of line art that comes in. And then another thing that bothers me at some point over here is the characters in the foreground in the large panel that I'm drawing right now. I don't think they're quite large enough. Like, I think I need to cut them out and then enlarge them to really make the perspective or the 3D of the scene become a little bit more apparent, even though that might mean I have to move them because they might be overlapping with some of the characters in the middle. You got your foreground, your middle, and your background. Also, some of the perspective on the trolley in the back on the top right is really off, so that's another thing I'm going to have to look at later on. So yeah. Oh, and there's I also came to realize that not over here, this is me drawing the clouds of dust. So yeah, so this is the part where I go all out, like rendering the background like really dark with lots of heavy inks, just to try stuff out, just to see which one will look better ultimately. And that's the trolley where the perspective is completely off. I'm just walking you through here. But this panel you're watching me draw right here, like these two characters, like I don't feel like they're quite foregroundy enough. And I also wonder about the thickness of the line art. Like maybe I can just add a thick outline to separate them from the characters in the middle. Or maybe for this rough ink, it's fine as it is, but I'm already feeling like the characters in the middle, like maybe the line weight should be thinner to help separate the planes of perspective. So yeah, but overall, I think this is coming out all right as it is. I'm still gonna add a little layer of, like fun little white outlines and a little bit of effect. But there's this panel over here on the bottom that I want to point out to you. Right over here. So this is the opposing team, as I pointed out at the start of this page, 18 in progress, but like I have these two here, right? So this was supposed to be like a close encounter where they almost got discovered. So I think like if there's a person over here, they should be walking up here, so I could do that. But I'm also feeling like, in keeping with the previous page, maybe this bottom third of the page should be completely devoted to them. And so this should go. You know? There should not be more of the same images, same perspective. I could at least maybe draw it from this angle. But I'm also thinking, like, if I just take this out, then I could have the taskmaster here commenting on them, and he's in the background over here. Or I could maybe go upstairs and have one of the upper management just watch cameras and watch them from a completely different angle, from like the top, like from over here, you know, wondering what it is they're doing, or thinking they're just hard at work, you know. Something to just mix up the going-ons on the pages.
Makes Tarantino interesting, you know, a lot more than just the big. I don't know if you guys heard or not. I didn't hear much buzz about it, but he had a heart attack that almost killed him, but he's all right now.
Put them in larger. Took this out, added a border, tunnel over here.
Shout out to you and thanks to my Patreon subscribers. Jan has been there from pretty much the start. Jeff Lafferty, Kerry, of course, Marshall is there as well. And then the other Brittany.
And you know, even that failed.
Now how can a walk fail, Ray?
Because some man snatched a woman's pocketbook way across town.
Say what?
Yeah, and guess who they put in jail?
Do tell, do tell.
Jimmy, I just can't understand it.
I know what you mean.
I know there's got to be some kind of explanation.
Got to be, there's got to be.
Lord, 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 I ain't done nothing wrong. So tell me why I'm doing 2 years probation.
Man, I don't know, I got the same trouble.
They got me having to walk a chalk line.
Say what?
Oh, with my back up against the wall.
That's tough, Ray.
That's why if it wasn't for bad luck, children. Oh, I tell everybody if it wasn't for bad luck, no. I believe I would have no luck at all. I just wouldn't have no luck at all.
So I just wanted to show to you guys the finished page 18. As you've been watching me put it together on this day 36. So the game's afoot, so I had to make some adjustments. I made these much more into the foreground. I decided to change up the story here a little bit. Instead of doing this storyline, I've added a scene from a different part of the ship. Someone commenting like, oh, how do I change the camera? So it allows me to get it in there that they're watching, you know, they're supervising, they're managing, like they have to check the cameras, that kind of stuff. But also a little bit more interplay between her and the captain, who's supposed to be training her and showing her the ropes. And at the same time, because of what's on the screen here, which is a different angle from what's happening over here, there's still a connection. Added a border in here because I figured this kid running over is this one right over here. And so this is a bit crude right now, but I think you can get the gist that like there's a lapse, like you see these two coming together, and then as that happens, he moves into intercept. So that is my page 18. It is now 6 o'clock. I started about 2, or was it 2:30? I can't remember. Even went to the store in between. So all in all, I think I spent about 3.5 hours on this. On to page 19. There we go, that's page 19. It is up. I'm already copied the layer and got rid of a lot of the balloons. And then instead of doing the usual wash over it first, I figured I'd try a thick border. I think I need a little bit more space here, so let's move this over. I just want this to be, I don't even know, but like, you know, it just didn't feel right with the spacing. So let's do it like that, and then this is now too cramped. So, Bloody, stop biting me. Anyway, let's just move it over anyway. Like that. Okay. So today is Tuesday, and that means Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday is on. And I kind of hinted at Marshall that I'd be joining. So that'll be a nice little break from these pages. I think I'm going to do some inks. So meanwhile, let's continue on this one. But yeah, Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday is a little thing Marshall and Scott have set up. Draw an alien, use the hashtag, get featured in Scott's playlist. If it's on YouTube, you can use any social media. But it's pretty cool, like the art they're making, and it's just fun drawing aliens, so I'll definitely have a go later on. So for now, I've got this page. So we cut from the game back to our two maintenance people discovering some wiring, and then this wiring is the same as over here. So I just realized if we just cut back to the previous page. So I decided to cut to the spy supervisor, select the corporate spy girl, and put her there. And so luckily over here, meanwhile, so because he's gone missing, and now she's like, oh, there you are. Because she was looking on the previous page, so it connects really nicely. So that worked out pretty good. Still like this, like he basically gets rid of her, sends her down here, the doc shows her around, and then he brags about it to the pilot, brings the coffee over, so you read it like that, and then she's down here getting a little tour by the doc and the farm section of the vehicle, and then this right here, I have to make sure this lines up nicely with a couple of pages ago when, actually I think it's like the first or the second page where we first get introduced to the Taskmaster in his bedroom or his room basically. Now this is the same entrance, so you can kind of get a feel for where things are on the ship because it all connects. Alright, so let's get started.
I begin to stretch and yawn.
What for, Ray?
Just to see if I could.
I can dig it.
Early once I got a funny feeling that something around here was going on wrong. So you know what I did, Jimmy?
What?
I got up and I began to look all around for my baby.
Was that it?
That was it. You know, the woman had packed up and gone.
Oh, Lord.
That's why I say if everybody went to heaven, hey, I believe I missed the call. But to see if it wasn't for bad luck, Jimmy. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you, son, if it wasn't for bad luck, no. Oh, I wouldn't have no luck at all. Would you believe I wouldn't have no luck at all?
Look at here, Ray. You think your luck is bad? Listen to what happened to me.
All right.
Now listen now. Got a tip on a horse someone gave me. Hey.
Yeah.
On my last suit to make the bet.
No, you did.
Yes, I did. Put every dime I had on him.
What?
Listen. You know he ain't showed up yet. Oh! Tell ya I got so disgusted now.
Yeah.
Said I'll go back home and sleep some more.
Yeah, that seemed like the right thing to do.
But by the time I got back to my room, are you listening, Ray?
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
So here we go. It's page 19. It's all, well, it's pretty much finished. Text balloons. And then the first problems. I'm gonna leave for tomorrow. I don't think it's clear here anymore what she's looking at and that it's over here. It's the same thing. I like how the overall page is coming out, but I think the light effect is too bright and I need to tone it down so that if you're paying attention, you can see that this is the same thing and that there's a little cable cut here. But yeah, this page was beating my ass. Not because it was overly difficult, but I'm just running out of juice. I think I spent overall, with a little break included, about 3 hours on this now. And I was just feeling so slow. I can't believe it's already 9 o'clock. So, but overall, it's pretty straightforward that she's looking at something here. Get to see it. I mean, it's working. I like it. I hope you guys like it too. I think this has been a very long video. If you've managed to stay with me all the way through till the end, thank you for hanging out. Let me know what you think of these longer videos in which I just show you the process. I could pick a topic to talk about, but you know, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll pick a topic to talk about. If you have any suggestions, let me know, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on day 37. This is Jan signing off.